I'm thrilled to bring this jab session to you. It brings me back to the Philadelphia gyms where I was taught by the very best trainers in the entire world, and I can now pass that on to you. Let's get started. We'll save the blistering part to the end. I warmed up for 10 minutes on the bike, did a brief dynamic stretch, and let's get right into it. Feet should be shoulder width apart, and if you're right-handed, your right foot goes back. If you're left-handed, your left foot is going to go back. So again, it's all about the feet. You want your rear foot pointed towards your opponent. You don't want it off to the side, which you see very, very often, including with a lot of professional athletes. But if your foot is pointed towards your opponent, that's where your force is going to go. If your rear foot is pointed here, you can even see how it brings my body, brings everything off center. So you definitely want your back foot pointed towards your opponent. To take it a step further, bring your knees and feet in a little bit forward, then bring your knees out. So now you're moving like a spring. You can move incredibly well. Correspondingly, at the punch is going to be the break off. So you don't want to just throw it, you don't want to hyperextend your elbow, and you don't want to overextend your shoulder. You want to stay centered and break it off. With that, with your connection to the ground and the break off, it is truly a hammer. What's in between, what's connecting those two variables, is your core. So you want to tighten your stomach. So tighten your stomach muscles, blow out maybe half the air, and maintain that control of your breathing, where maybe half, a little less than half the air is out of your lungs. And then when you do your technique, you're blowing the air out. You don't want to audibly hear that though. You want to just exhale the air and break off, tighten the stomach muscles. You're connecting everything to your body and you're developing great power, and the break off creates that hammer effect. So that is the technique where you're in a good position. To take that even a step further is going to be your shoulder pointed at your opponent, protecting your face, elbows in, and that way too, when the punch comes out, it's just a fist that just keeps getting bigger. You're not telegraphing with the elbows, and you're conditioning your shoulder, your full body, the best way as well. So to do the technique correctly is the best for fitness as well. And again, don't hyperextend anything. You don't want to hyperextend your elbow, overextend your shoulder, and you accomplish that mostly by using that core to connect your arm and your leg to your body. So to work on the technique, do maybe 8 where we're not stepping. We're just going to kind of break off, feel that foot, and feel that core connecting everything. So we have a break off, and we're just working that technique. Another common tendency, aside from the wrong foot position, is to go like this. So that's a totally natural tendency, but stay down, stay focused, and stay right to that break off, that end point. If you need to get closer to the opponent, don't do it like this, but do it with the feet. And that brings us to step 2, which is stepping. So we're going to step, 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 and go back. So the foot, the front foot, is going to move in sync with the punch. So we're stepping, but we're staying low, we're staying core, we're staying connected, and we keep that break off. Again, at no time do you want to hyperextend your elbow, because especially in a fight, if your elbow's hyperextended, you get hit there, that is an injury. But if you hyperextend it all too with repetitious movements, you'll create kind of an overuse injury as well, potentially. So you just want to step, turn over, and break off. And already I can feel my shoulder working. If I'm just throwing it out and not connecting my limbs with my core, my shoulder's going to hurt, but it doesn't hurt. It just feels like it's working. And that is what you want. At the end, you can keep your hands a little bit loose, not open, but a loose fist to a tight fist. So now let's go to step 3, which is going to be to just kind of speed it up. So we're going to break it off, and then back just as quickly. So break off, step, and that is a hammer. And again, it's a hammer because you're connecting your arm to your core and you're connecting this end point to the ground. So the punch is actually going all the way through your body and ending right there, versus if you just threw a punch and it ends at your shoulder, you're throwing it and it ends at your foot. And a lot of that too is the proper foot placement. Step 4 is going to be a little bit more speed, and don't leave it out there as the hammer, but then come back. So speed. So do a couple of those if you can. If you're feeling like it's pulling on your shoulder a little bit too much, then keep it slow and more controlled. But if you're feeling good about it, then speed it up. And if you're feeling really good about it, then really speed it up. And again, sometimes you see people doing jab training with the hand open. It's a really bad habit. So you want to elbows in, hands up, and right out. And keep that kind of a light fist, a heavy fist, and right back. Then we get to the blistering part. If you're going to do this on a heavy bag, you definitely want to wrap your hands, and then definitely use good gloves. But if you're just using this thing on a spring, you don't need to wrap your hands. I do sometimes anyway. But we'll just put the gloves on, and I'll just do a few as fast as I can. And again, if I'm feeling like that's a little too far away, I'll get closer. I won't alter my form, but I'll just use my feet to get closer. So now that we're just blistering, have all good technique. Elbows in, protecting the face, chin down. I forgot to mention the chin down creates a biomechanical effect which puts the finishing touches on everything. Foot, knees, feet, knees out a little bit forward. And then double. And if you're doing this on the bag at the gym or at home, make sure that you hit with these two knuckles. These knuckles attach to this bone, which is super fragile. So you want to definitely hit with these knuckles right here. And that concludes, but thank you. Please consider liking, commenting, and subscribing, because that will help to guide the channel in the proper direction for this entire movement that we're doing together. Thanks, and until next time.